Okay, so I have got a request to continue my Diaries of a Former Mortician vlog because I had, like, said I was done with it. But I did remember some old stories that I would like to address, but they're more of what led me to be a mortician. So let's just start back where it first began. Um, when I was a little kid, I was always strange. Okay, I would probably have a vivid imagination, as you would call it. I would see things, beings, whatever, communicate with things that other people couldn't see. And whenever something died, I would just feel so like I had to do something about it, you know. I was like 3 years old, and my dog, my first dog, I guess, got hit by a car. And I guess I witnessed it. I really don't remember seeing the dog hit, but I remember picking up the dog's dead body and carrying the dead dog into the house. I wasn't crying, I wasn't screaming, you know, it's just I picked up the dead body of the dog and brought it to my mother. And she loved that dog, so she was crying and screaming. And, you know, we buried the dog. Then we had like this huge aquarium in our house, and every time one of the little goldfish, because we had like all different type of fish in there, but every time one of the fish would die, we would put the fish, because they were like this big, inside of a matchbox, a sliding matchbox, and we'd make a cross out of popsicle sticks, and we'd started a fish cemetery, and so on and so forth. Years later, we moved. I think I was about 4 or 5 years old at this point. 5 years old. My uncle died in a violent way. He was stabbed by his best friend. They were gambling or something and drinking. So he was stabbed. He died on my grandmother's front porch, and they took him to the hospital. My mom and all of us went to the hospital and to the emergency room section, and she went in to go see him after they had autopsied him. I don't know. I was 4 or 5 years old, so I don't remember all the details for sure. But I remember her coming out saying he was all cut up in so many pieces, like he was slashed and da-da-da. I'm like, okay, can I see? No, you can't see that, she said. No, I don't want you to see that. I said, well, why not? I want to see. And I literally threw a fit and started crying. Not because my uncle was dead, okay? Because I really was, you know, what does a 4-year or 5-year-old know about death? I wanted to see the gruesomeness of the situation, and she would not let me see it. I was so mad at her for like 2 days. I was mad. And then the funeral came, and I went to the funeral, and I became fascinated with the funeral, with the casket. So yeah, that was my first real funeral. Then I had to go to another one. My sister's best friend died at 11. Her mom slammed on the brakes, and she flew out of the windshield over a bridge, you know, drinking and driving. So don't drink and drive. I went to that funeral, and that funeral in my mind was what made me want to be a mortician. I think I was 6, or maybe still 5, I don't know. But the funeral home was so fancy, and the floors were marble, and the lighting was just beautiful. And I just fell in love with that. And the casket, I just wanted to touch it. So then I wouldn't have to go to another funeral for, you know, years and years. But basically, after that funeral of my sister's best friend, we moved into this house that I think was haunted. And it was actually a mile from where I live now, because I moved back into the area coincidentally. You know, we found the perfect house 1 mile away from the house that I kind of grew up in and was haunted. And lo and behold, I drive by the house today and it's empty. I drove by the house 3 years ago as well, just to show my kids, oh, this is the house Mommy grew up in, and it was still empty. Every house on the block is, you know, someone lives there, except this one house, the one I lived in. And there's so many crazy stories that happened in that house. It was haunted for real. I think it's built over some type of Indian burial ground because they were expanding the freeway, like not too far from the house, and they had to stop and get like some kind of permits or something because they discovered some bodies, an indigenous Indian tribe or Native American tribe that lived around this area. I can't remember their name exactly, but it starts with a K, and they're indigenous to like Texas and Galveston. Anyway, I used to dig in my backyard when I was a kid, and I would find arrowheads, like not even 5 inches or 4 inches of digging. I would find these arrowheads. And when I was a kid, I saw, like, everybody has heard of like Shadow Man or Hat Man in my doorway, because my mom would leave the door cracked at night with the hallway light on. So me and my brother shared a room with bunk beds. He was on the bottom, I was on the top, and he saw it too. He thought it was my sister or somebody, but it wasn't. And so I said, do you see that? He's like, yeah. It just stood there in the door and watched for like 1 minute, and then it just left. And then we asked my sister the next day, you know, was that you? She says, no, I was spending that at my friend's house. I didn't even come home. I was like, what? And so, and another experience I had in that house was, I got up in the middle of the night to go use the restroom, and I had to walk down the hallway, and I saw like this flaming face, looks like it was burning, of a lion. Just a flaming lion face. It wasn't scary, but it wasn't, you know, nice and cheery either. It was just like, and so, I mean, a dark hallway and flames in the middle of the night. Okay, I went back to my room. I held that pee until the next day. Then, okay, so the next thing that happened, I was in the restroom brushing my teeth. The entire mirror turned black for like 2 seconds, and then it came back. I left that bathroom so quick. I told my mom, and my mom is a religious person, so she just, you know, well, you just need to pray. You just need to pray more. You know, I'm like, okay. And then another night I was in bed, and I swear someone touched my leg. Touched it. There was nobody in the room. I got up. I went downstairs. I said, Mom, because she was still awake. I said, Mom, something touched my leg. Oh, that's just your imagination. Go say your prayer. I'm like, and this is not my imagination. Something touched my leg. She didn't know what to think or say because, you know, whatever. She thought I was possessed as a child anyway, so she thinks like evil was after me. But the reason she thought I was possessed as a child is because I talked at 8 months, you know, in perfect sentences. But the next experience that happened in that house, like all of our pets died, all of them. We had a rabbit, we had a dog, and 2 cats. They all died, and we didn't live there but for 4 years. And there was a lot. My parents would argue a lot in that house. My stepdad, one of my stepdads. My mom's been married so many times, but the stepdad I had then tried to commit suicide in that house. My mom kicked my sister out because they would argue a lot. My brother broke his arm. I sprained my ankle. My mom changed religion like 3 times while staying in the house. Every time I would walk up the stairs at night, I would think something was behind me. I would feel it, that something was behind me. What else happened? Crazy stuff. Our neighbor, his son died. man, I mean, that house is crazy. The energy has to be terrible in it. My stepdad got struck by, not struck by lightning, but he was in the garage and the fan, I don't know, I think he was brushing his teeth. Something, like, he got electrocuted, like, a little bit by something. I don't know if it was lightning or something electrical, but he got shocked big time, really bad. What else did we start doing in that house? Craziness. There's so much more I can't even remember, but I'll probably go into it. I'm actually going to do a type of amateur ghost hunter or ghost adventure video about this house because it is empty. I'm going to call the realtor and pretend like I'm interested in like looking at the house, and I'm going to take my camera, and I'll probably like do a voiceover later because it's going to seem weird to her if I'm just talking about it. Oh, this is the room that I had when I grew up. And then she's going to know that I'm not interested, and then she's going to be mad. So I'm just going to do the film on my Canon camera and then do the voiceover and see if it picks up anything, like orbs or anything. So y'all get to see where I grew up, and if y'all see anything. That house was very strange. No lie. Anyway. By the way, I live in Katy, Texas now, which is like maybe 20 minutes outside of Houston. Very close to Houston. And if you look up online, like Katy, Texas, there's like some little ghost stories that happen around here. There are like a lot of Indian burial grounds here. So maybe that has something to do with that energy. I didn't pay for the research on that house. You know how you can see if someone died in your house or not? I didn't do that research yet, but I probably will invest into it just for fun. It's like only $11. So I will get back with y'all on that, and I hope that you guys appreciate this addition to Diaries of a Former Mortician. I'll probably keep going whenever I get an idea in my head or remember a story, but it's not going to be like it used to be, like weekly. Maybe I'll turn more towards the, the other side of, the fascination with, the other side, death and all that. Maybe we'll do like a cemetery tour again and all that kind of stuff. It is getting close to Halloween, so sorry, tongue tied. I will see what I can do. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.